What if students don't care about consequences? What do I do then? We're going to answer this question in today's episode. Well, welcome back to the Teach for the Heart podcast, where we tackle teaching challenges from a biblical perspective. This episode is brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation. I'm here today with Beki Jones, one of our team members and mentors. Beki, thank you for being with us again today.
Absolutely.
So we're talking about what to do if students don't care about consequences. And we get this question a lot from our members and just different people in our groups. And so we want to dive into it. So the first thing, I'm going to start with something just very practical and then kind of more philosophical. So first thing I would say is, well, consider alternate consequences. Okay, so if you're finding something where it's like most of the class doesn't care about the consequence, I would consider some alternatives. I would ask myself, are there other things that they do care about? So maybe that's the first question is how much? Do I just have one or two students that don't care, or does nobody seem to care? So that's the first question I would ask myself.
Yeah. And keeping in mind things that are creative, like not getting a reward is a consequence, or even honestly, rearranging your desk structure can also be a consequence. There are things that can help support whatever issue you're having that are consequences that don't even feel like they are. And frankly, you can call it out to students or you don't have to. You can say, hey, we've been having a really big issue with chatting lately. So I had to reorganize your desks so you're no longer in quads. Like, that's expressing to kids, that's a consequence. And you can even tell them we can build it back in later, hopefully, if you demonstrate the right behavior. But getting really creative with what you consider a consequence is a helpful mindset shift.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you need some ideas, we have a free consequence ideas list. You can go to teachfortheheart.com/consequences, and that'll just give you some maybe different ideas or get your mind thinking in a little bit different direction. So number one, consider alternate consequences. The second thing I thought about was it's important to recognize consequences are just one piece of our classroom management plan. Like they are not the end all be all. Okay. And I forget where this analogy comes from, but I've heard it multiple times and it's helpful to think of many things in life, but here are classroom management like Swiss cheese. Okay, so imagine a piece of Swiss cheese. It has holes in it, right? So if I have one piece of Swiss cheese, it's like it, and I tried to cover a sandwich, it would cover most of it, but there's still some holes. But if I take another piece and put it on top, now those holes are in different places, and if I do a third and even a fourth, now everything is for sure covered. So that's how we have to think about things in classrooms, like recognizing any one strategy or tactic or technique or whatever it is not going to probably solve all of the issues. But classroom management consequences are an important piece. But just because they're not helping with this whole doesn't mean you should throw them out. Okay, so recognizing yes, this is something that is helping a lot of students. If it's just not helping these couple, that's okay. There's other things I'm going to layer on top, which we're going to kind of get to in a minute.
And also recognizing, since, like you said, it is definitely not an entirety of a classroom management plan, it's also only responding when there's already been an issue. So much of an effective classroom management plan is proactively trying to avoid issues. And so, yeah, you need to have a response when there's an issue because there will be issues. But what else can you do to try to stop those issues before they occur? Because odds are there are things that you can develop and improve in your classroom structure that will help with that, procedures and clear expectations, a lot of things that we can really hone in on if we have an effective classroom management plan.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That is such a good point, right? There, so much of good classroom management is preventative in the first place. Those are really important layers, Swiss cheese layers, if we're using that analogy. So if you haven't gone through if you're struggling with this and you haven't gone through Classroom Management 101, that is a lot of what we help you do is that prevention piece. And then also, what do you deal with when things are happening? So definitely recommend checking that out. teachfortheheart.com/CM101. Use the code podcast20 to get a discount. So what would I do though with a student where we're at the point they are misbehaving, they aren't caring about the consequences? I think it's important to layer on a layer of getting to the heart. Why is this particular student misbehaving but not caring about the consequences? What is underneath this? What's going on? Okay. Is it something at home? Is it something in their personality? Is it something, like what is going on at a heart level? And looking at, can we address that? Can we address that can I speak to their heart? Sometimes you can't solve this difficult thing at home that's causing them to act out, but you can then work on, okay, this is causing this, but can we break that recognize, teaching, for example, just a tiny example, helping them understand, man, I'm more irritable because of this. So when this starts to happen, I need to do this, right? Just really recognizing this is what's going on and really trying to break it down there. This episode is brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation. It's a new year, and that means brand new resources from the Herzog Foundation for Christian Educators. Their full calendar of events is now live at herzogfoundation.connect.space. The Herzog Foundation Institute offers free training events designed specifically for educators like you. In partnership with organizations like Answers in Genesis and the Museum of the Bible, these trainings provide hands-on strategies, biblical resources, and practical classroom tools to help you integrate faith and learning every day. And the best part, they are completely free for you and your school or homeschool group. Whether you're looking for fresh inspiration for your classroom or professional development to grow your ministry, the Herzog Foundation is here to help. Find an event near you at herzogfoundation.connect.space. Now back to our conversation.
Yeah, that is so important. And honestly, it brings me into the relationship that I even have with Jonathan, with my spouse. Like, I've developed that as an adult, that metacognition of like, I'm sorry, I am not being as patient as I should be. I slept really poorly last night. Please forgive me. But I know there's a reason. I'm aware of it. I'm going to work on it. And so helping kids develop that problem solving process as well, and helping them see this might be one of the reasons you're struggling with this. What can we do to improve that can really help. And also, especially for the younger kids, I've found there are kids who they are craving attention, whether that's because there's a problem with home, whether that's because there are so many facets to why it could be, but whatever it is, helping them see that they can get attention in positive ways, that you aren't going to withhold attention from them if they stop misbehaving. You're going to give them attention that's way more fun to receive, and helping them develop that understanding by giving it to them now for all the positives you can find can help them develop that sense of trust there.
Yes. So that's a very, very important piece, right? Layering on these conversations. These aren't quick results, but they're really worth having. So while you're doing all of this, my final recommendation is realize that results don't always come right away, and don't stop giving consequences. Okay. Just because a student is doesn't either acting like they don't care, or you genuinely don't think they care, doesn't mean you should stop giving it to them. Okay. You need to be consistent in your classroom management across the board as much as possible, except for intentional exceptions. And this is not one. Okay. So just because a student doesn't care and keeps getting the consequences, you want to keep doing it, because that is helping the entire class recognize this is fair. This is how we operate. Okay. And you don't know that consistency could make a difference in that student over time. But even if it doesn't, you are doing the best thing for your class. And then you're also laying on these other pieces for that particular student. So it's important to not give up on consequences just because they don't seem to be working for a few students.
Yeah. And really, I just believe when you do that, you're speaking love, you're following God's calling. And we know we don't always see results. Frankly, sometimes there aren't even results from our immediate actions, but that doesn't mean that we're not following the calling that God has given us. Just because what we do doesn't have the positive impact we wish and hope and think it should, doesn't mean we're not doing right. And so just keeping that in mind, praying for that consistency, and trusting that in time, God will bring fruit.
Yes. And you never know what God is doing behind the scenes, right? And sometimes you don't get to see it because it happens in the next year or the 2 years down the road. You just don't know what God is doing. And so just continuing to be faithful in that. So, so important. Well, thank you, Becky, for talking with us about this. Thank you guys for listening. Once again, some of those resources, we have a consequences ideas list, teachfortheheart.com/consequences. Join us in Classroom Management 101, teachfortheheart.com/CM101. Use the code podcast20. If you have a question you want us to answer here, you can submit it at teachfortheheart.com/teachertalk. And all of these links I'm saying really quickly will be in the show notes. So you can grab them all there for easy access. Well, thank you guys so much. I look forward to speaking with you again soon. This episode is brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation. All views and opinions are our own and don't necessarily reflect those of the Herzog Foundation. Until we meet next time, remember, God is at work in you and through you, and He's using you to make a difference. Keep your eyes on Him and teach for the heart.